Hi there. Welcome to Granny Rocks Our World. I'm Granny, unless you thought it was him. Tonight I'm going to talk about two national emergencies, the egos and ours, and how one causes the other. So I'm really looking forward to getting into this topic. And we also are hoping that we don't have any technical disasters tonight. Right?
Right.
But before we get into the show, here's sweet baby James to introduce us.
Yes, Granny Rocks Our World is our opportunity every Monday, Wednesday, and Friday at 6:30 p.m. Pacific to hear the wit, wisdom, and uncommon sense of Granny, otherwise known as Beth Green. So take it away, Granny.
Well, first, let's say hello to the people who are already saying hello. Hello, Erica. Hello, Simone. And Todd said hello, Granny and James. And so hello, Todd. And Amy said me too. Hi, guys. And hi to you. If you want me to acknowledge you, please put in a comment so that I know that you are there. Well, so the topic tonight is two national emergencies, the egos and ours, and how one causes the other. Well, I want to start out by saying that the ego has been causing emergencies all our lives. It's like, I don't have the right brand of jeans. Do you remember that national
My teenage
emergency?
daughter had that emergency.
Absolutely. Or a woman saying, I see a wrinkle. Another national emergency.
Oh, yes.
Your house is bigger than my house. His dick is bigger than my dick. I mean, he's more powerful than I am. He has more money. He makes more money. You know, he makes more money than you do. Blah, 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 blah. You know, it's always been created well, but it's gone to from this individual of the ego creating emergencies. And I mean, some of them go really, really deep. Like, I have to prove to you that I'm valuable. I have to prove something to the world. I have to prove that I'm smart. These are constantly creating an incredible amount of stress for every one of us. We're always trying to prove something. We're always stressed. Now, how is that played out on the national level? And then we're going to get to the other side, which is the fun side. We have a president who has, hi, Tracy, created that there is a national emergency on the border. Not to say there aren't problems on the border, but he's making it a national emergency. And then in order to deal with that national emergency, he has to have a wall. And in order to get the wall, he has to declare a national emergency. Now, everybody knows, I mean, I'm not saying anything radical or different. Everybody knows that, yes, Erica says, some say the president is our national emergency. But see, that's too easy, isn't it, Erica? Because it's not just our president. But what happens is he's boxed himself into a corner where he's going to look weak unless he does something to get that wall. Now, he is going to create a national emergency for everybody. He's making a national emergency for the Republican Party that has to figure out what to do with this national emergency. But he's going to be taking money away from drug treatment and the Department of the Pentagon and this and that. So he's going to be creating an emergency for other people, just like the shutdown of the government created an emergency that some people have never gotten out of. So this is not just funny. This is serious and painful. Just like it's not funny what we do to ourselves and each other when we want to look big and we deny our weaknesses. When we try to hide. Do you know that Franklin Delano Roosevelt, who was one of our great presidents in theory, and I think in practice too, a World War II president, he was hiding the fact that he had polio and that he was crippled. You know why? Because he didn't look strong. And John F. Kennedy did the same thing. I mean, our insane thinking about looking strong, looking big, looking accomplished, looking powerful. I've talked about that before, but now our president is really stuck with that need to look strong. And of course, some of the conservatives are raking him over the coals, and he'll never be able to deal with that. But he has to create emergencies in other people's lives in order to make himself look bigger. So now, what about how we are now creating emergencies for the ego. And that's the fun part of all of this, because that's what's happening. Not, hi, Mary Chris. Not only is the ego creating emergencies for us, but we are creating emergencies for the ego. Now, the resistance of people to Trump and his ego has created an emergency for him. He has to find something to do, a way out. So, but it isn't just him, guys. Now, let me tell you something, which you probably already know. We have some real emergencies, national and international. For example, climate change. Now, the climate change emergency has been real for quite a long time, but it is only now that more and more people are talking about it. Alexandria Ocasio-Cortez, for instance, is coming out with this Green New Deal, whether you think that's the answer, which is kind of not really laid out yet. But she's saying we're in the middle of an emergency, an international emergency, I should say. And then there are girls who are leading, campaigns of young students in Europe. And we have young people suing the American government because they get it. We have an emergency. In fact, we have many emergencies. We have real emergencies, not ego emergencies, although ultimately they are caused by the ego. And what do I mean by that? Another emergency we have is the fact that people are losing their jobs because of not only jobs going overseas, but because of automation. And this is just going to get worse and worse and worse. And that is an emergency for the people who are not going to have income. We have drug addiction is an emergency. Violence is an emergency. These are not like, oh, I look weak or I look pathetic or I'm going to lose my seat in the Senate or whatever. These are real emergencies that we get so distracted that we're not even dealing with. But we are creating an emergency for the ego. And I will tell you how we're doing that, because now we're speaking up. It's not just the Green New Deal and the girls, right? You know that people are not only talking about guaranteed income, they're actually experimenting with it. I already talked a couple of shows ago about the experiment in Finland, but it's more than that. There's an Andrew Yang who's running for president on a platform of guaranteed income in order to deal with the emergency that's being created, in fact, by automation. The city of Stockton is starting a program of giving people a guarantee of $500 a month. I just spat on myself. This is an emergency, a total emergency. Somebody's going to say, that woman is drooling. I shouldn't listen to her. So anyway,
Frothing of the mouth, as it were.
Foaming of that, no doubt. So people, we are fighting back against spending money on a wall that could be used in a more intelligent way, fighting back by saying we have to take care of climate change, fighting back by talking about incarceration, by talking about drug addiction, fighting back against what the ego always wants, which is to be in control, which is to look good, which is to divide and conquer. We have been divided against each other. The ego, as always, tells us, it's all about me. And so, hey, I'm a corporation. I don't have to care about my workers. I only have to care about my profits, right? That has created an emergency for workers. Now, it's time for us to create an emergency for them by saying, no, we're not stupid. We need income to buy the products that, we can't buy your products and bring money to your coffers if we don't have any. I mean, it is so obvious. We are one. And the recognition of that, and the beginning of the understanding of that, and the compassion for one another, and the caring for ourselves, which we represent on this show, and many others do everywhere, and the caring for other people and other nationalities, all of that is causing an emergency for the ego. Every time you personally stand up to your ego and say, stop giving me this nonsense, I don't believe you anymore that how I look is more important than how I feel. That fitting into that dress is more important than my health. That looking powerful is more important than leadership. Mojo is burrowing into the floor again. Every time we stand up to the egoic way of being, where appearance is everything, looking strong, looking important, is more important than working together to solve our problems. Every time we stand up to that, we create that second national emergency, which we are seeing reflected in government officials, but it's not just there. So I'm saying we are creating an emergency for the ego. It is finding itself losing its power, just as we see our president flailing about, trying to reconstitute a basis of power, which can't exist if we simply tell the truth to ourselves, to one another, to the powers that be. Hello, Donna. Let us continue to create a national emergency, an international emergency for the ego that says divide and conquer is okay, that says it's okay to exploit and hurt people for somebody's gain, short-term gain, short-term thinking. And now, as I've been in the habit of doing lately, I'm going to lead us in a LifeForce mind, body, spirit exercise that is created just for this show. And this time we're not going to turn the microphone off because we have a plan. And you know how well our plans always work. So now I'm going to switch the screen to the one that's way back there so you can actually see my feet. And we're going to move this. Okay, I'm going to stand up. We're going to move this microphone over. I want to tell you something. The ego doesn't like it. The ego doesn't like it. Thank you, Donna. Donna said you are so right. Yes. The ego doesn't like it when we stand up and we speak the truth and we start fighting back. And the ego doesn't like it when we take our power back from it. And you will notice, as I have, that the more we take back our power, the more the ego starts flailing around, trying to make us desperate, separating us, scaring us, dominating us, getting angry. But we are not fools. Somebody said, you can't fool all of the people all of the time. And we are proving that to be right.
Lincoln.
It was Lincoln. I thought it was good old Abe, the unifier instead of the divider. So let us bring our hand. You just follow my movements, my breathing, the sounds that I make to the best of your ability. Bring your hand down through the center and start tapping on your heart. Now, that's like the solar plexus, not the solar plexus, the whatever you call that. Sternum. I meant to start with an S. What can I say? Okay. Now our fingers, as you're tapping, I want you to go higher, like right under the collarbone. You may feel the need to cough because we're getting rid of something. Okay. Bring your feet together and point your toes. Put your toes onto the ground. Lean forward. Breathe in through your mouth and relax. Again, breathe in through your mouth. Relax. Now press in and bring your thumbs towards, yes, what do you call that? The ribs? Mm-hmm. On the, as you just open your hands and just drop your hand. It may hurt. It hurts for me. but that doesn't mean it's going to hurt you. Okay, press in. You've still got your toes on the ground. You're leaning forward. Now arch your back. Breathe in. You have fooled us enough.
You have fooled us enough.
The ego, you,
The ego, you,
are the emergency
are the emergency
that needs to be addressed
that needs to be addressed
so that we
so that we
can join together
can join together
and find solutions
and find solutions
to the pain that plagues us.
to the pain that plagues
Now
us.
keep pressing in. Feel that thumb going in. Do you feel?
Yeah.
Okay, really pressing in. Now lower your head just a little bit. I know you're watching me, but just kind of lower, like feel the relaxation, like your neck. And now I want you to focus on your toes and feel an energy rising up, all coming up through your toes, up through your legs, through your knees, all the way up. Oh,
Ah.
Now this cry connects to the pain, the needless pain the ego has caused us for a millennium. Just let yourself think for one moment about all the ways you've stressed yourself, hurt yourself and others, tried to prove something about yourself, distorted yourself, had unnecessary surgeries, made yourself miserable emotionally and physically in order to prove something that you were something different from what you were, and just feel the pain of that. Now tighten up in your belly and let's have this pain go up higher. Pull out. Now relax your feet. Your emergency is not my emergency.
Your emergency is not my emergency.
But my emergency,
But my emergency,
which is the need to change,
which is the need to change,
is yours.
is yours.
We're speaking to the ego, guys, and everybody who's acting out from the ego. Now let's embrace the emergency. Our power is in the acknowledgement of the real emergency.
Our power is in the acknowledgement of the real emergency.
I hope you can feel the energy that's flowing here. Now look around the world and see everyone at the same moment. Now, wouldn't this be great? Putting down all the weapons they have used against themselves and one another in order to gain the illusion of power. See everyone putting it down right now and embracing. If you think this is a fantasy, remember that not long ago, it seemed like a fantasy that people would even talk about a guaranteed income, or that people would ever address global warming. It's not. It's the wave. Now let's feel ourselves. We are riding the wave. We invite our egos to join us in the solutions. Yes.
Yes.
Getting out of that chair is the real emergency.